everyone, this is Christina from Sweet Pea Births. My husband Bruce and I teach childbirth classes here in Chandler, Arizona. And today's Q&A is, when do I know it's time to go to my birthplace? Now, this is a very common question, whether we're going out to speak on natural childbirth or teaching our childbirth classes or just talking about childbirth prep in general. Everybody wants to know, how do I know when it's time to go? And it's a common question. And I understand, you know, if you're going to the hospital, you want to get to the hospital in time to have your baby. If you're traveling to the birth center, you want to make it to that gorgeous birth center you've been dreaming of having your birth at. If you're having a home birth, you want to make sure that your care provider makes it in time, because nobody wants an unplanned, unassisted home birth. So here's a general rule of thumb for you to consider. The most common one is 5-1-1. What that means is you have your contractions 5 minutes apart. They last 1 minute, you know, from start to finish, and that you've had that pattern established for about an hour. Generally, when your contractions are coming that close together, lasting that long, and the pattern is unbroken, like nothing you're doing, whether you're eating, drinking, walking, taking a shower, taking a nap, no matter what you do to change your activity level, your contractions are continuing in their pattern, maybe even getting closer and stronger. So that's ideal. That's what you want, okay? When you are aiming for an unmedicated birth, some care providers will tell you, hey, wait for 4-1-1. So you have your contractions 4 minutes apart, they're lasting 1 minute, and you have, again, that pattern established over an hour or longer, okay? Some care providers, again, depending on their comfort level, will tell you 3-1-1. You know, so if you have a healthy, low-risk pregnancy, everything's looking good for you and baby, they're going to tell you wait till your contractions are 3 minutes apart. They're lasting a minute long at least, and you have that pattern established for an hour. Now, there are a few caveats with this information. Number one, you have to evaluate how far am I from my birthplace. Because of the nature of hospital systems here in Arizona, we have a lot of people who travel from an hour or more to go birth at particular hospitals that are known to support moms and babies, you know, that support birth choice, are breastfeeding friendly. So if you have an hour drive, you may not want to wait for 5-1-1. You may want to find some strategy to get closer to your hospital where you can labor comfortably, and then wait for patterns to get close and then go to your hospital, so you're not doing that hour drive. You also have to consider, what time of day am I driving at? Again, that's where the contingency plans come in. Do you have a couple of different ways to get to the hospital? The other thing I want to mention is trust your instinct. If at any time, you know, you're waiting for your contractions to get 5 minutes and something feels off, or maybe you're not feeling the baby move the way baby was moving, don't hesitate, don't question, just trust your instinct, go get some information. Worst case scenario, they're going to say, hey, you know what? Everything's fine, you need to go home. Actually, that's not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is, wow, we're glad you came in, because now we can monitor you and baby a little more closely. And mom's instincts are generally right, guys. I mean, that's why they call it the mother's instinct, so don't doubt yourself. And the last thing I want to say, for those of you who are preparing for a home birth, again, you know, don't worry. I mean, that's why you've taken all this time to get to know your midwife. That's why your appointments generally last at least an hour. You're going in, they're getting a relationship with you, they know you, they have an idea of what you want to have for your birth. So you call them. You know, the minute you feel a twinge or a twang, so you know something's different, call your midwife and say, hey, this is what's going on. They'll have a conversation with you. At some point, as you're having these conversations, whether it's text or phone, they'll decide that, hey, they want to come on over and check things out. And then you'll decide, you know, is it time to stay, or do they go home and wait for things to get a little bit more advanced? So again, the whole idea here is, like I said, 5-1-1. Typically 5 minutes apart, 5 minutes between contractions, lasting 1 minute, and you have that pattern for an hour. However, all that goes out the window when it comes to trusting your instinct. So hopefully that gives you some idea. It's not a concrete answer, but it's a lot of ideas for you to consider. I'm going to tell you, check a link down in the comments. One of the very first videos we did was how do you make that drive comfortable so you don't change your labor, and hopefully slow down your labor when you're driving from your home to your birthplace. So check out that link in the comments for that video, and we'll see you next week. Take care.